You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Posture Screen, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Moguls, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, Local Gold, The Goodman Factor, McCaffrey Clinical Mentoring, Chiro Thin, Unmarket Your Practice, and Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt Doduro. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 143 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
Hey everybody, so today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Brian Polochick, and if you guys want to know how to merge old school with new school chiropractic, stay tuned. So this is Brian Polochick, DC. We are on episode 143, and like our typical fashion, we like to introduce you, and then we like to ask you a very simple question is, tell us your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractor.
Well, I had two influences to become a chiropractor. One, my father was a chiropractor, and I believed highly in chiropractic because that's what I knew all my life. Every time we were sick in the house, we would almost hide it from my mother because my father would fix it so fast that we didn't even want to tell him, so we could not have to go to school the next day. Because my father would come home and adjust us. We'd get 104 fever, and the next day we'd be all fixed and ready to go to school. So that was one of the things. I always knew chiropractic worked, but the big thing that influences me, because I didn't want to become a chiropractor when I was younger, was I had a traumatic head injury when I was like 16, a freshman in high school. I had gone to a different high school than all my friends did. I went to a Catholic high school, and I was playing freshman basketball, and someone took my legs out and I landed on my head. And I was pretty much a straight A student, doing very well in school. Right after that, I started having these bad headaches and blackouts. And the next thing you know, about a month later, I was getting wheeled down the hallway with a seizure problem that I had passed out and had a seizure in class. And that started my health journey where I was on the other end. I wasn't on the end that I saw everyone getting fixed. I had to be fixed. And what ended up happening is, I'll keep it to a minimal here, but I had to go out and try to figure out. And my dad started taking me, he started working on me. He took me to his old boss, helped me some. It wasn't getting me where I needed to go. Then we went to naturopaths, we went everything. Just like, whenever someone gets a problem, you start to really look into it. I found this chiropractor down in Arkansas, and he helped me. He had this biofeedback mechanism that dealt with a lot with stress and how your mind affects your body. And it comes out that, yes, I needed chiropractic care, but part of my problem was there was a lot of stress in my life. My mom and dad weren't getting along at the time, and there was a chance that they were going to separate. I had gone to a new school, and I was getting bullied around, and all these things went in together. And it's like the traumatic injury and the emotional stress went together, and that caused my problem. And this chiropractor from Arkansas started talking to me about how I went to a health week down there, and he said that your seizures are your solution to your problem, not the cause of your problem. Your body's very smart. It doesn't make mistakes. So we've got to find out why it's acting like that. And long story short, that with a lot of diet changes, high fat diet, I got off of all my medication. I cured myself, and I said, I have to give back to this profession. I'm going to chiropractic school. And I dropped out of engineering school and went to chiropractic school.
So now that you're here in the chiropractic world, what would you say makes you unique or different? What are you doing to stand out from the rest?
Well, I would like to say we should all be doing this as chiropractors, and not enough are doing it. But what makes me unique is we take the body from a whole perspective. It's physical, chemical, and emotional, and we can add spiritual or energetic component to that. And what makes us unique is we look at bodies as a whole piece, and we use the chiropractic philosophy, which is you're not trying to fix individual things. You're trying to make the body work better as a whole so that whatever's wrong with it, it has the ability to cure. And if you hang around with old school chiropractors for a while, they claim that they don't fix anything. They get to the cause, which is the subluxation, which is blocking the body from healing. So we try to activate that healing center, but it can be physical, chemical, and emotional. And we call it the 6 components of life. You could be what you eat, what you drink, exercise, rest, what you breathe, what you think. So you can have misalignments and subluxations that are caused by chemical imbalances, by emotional stress, or by traumas like auto accidents. So we look at the body as a whole perspective, and our analysis is where I think the results come in. Because as a chiropractor, what we've done is we analyze, does the body need to be adjusted standing, sitting down? What order do you adjust it in? The order matters. If you did an upper neck, a mid back, and a low back versus a low back, a mid back, and a neck, it has a different outcome based on the order that you adjust in. So what happens is these things come down to details. And I try to use the analogy like if you're trying to screw a screw into the wall, righty tighty, right? I don't care how strong you are. If you was trying to twist it to the left, it's not going to go in the wall because that's not the way it's supposed to go. This happens with bones. Which contact point? Is it on a spinous, on a transverse process? Are you using left or right torque? Which angle are you adjusting? Are you pushing down? Are you pushing up? It makes a difference. And the old school philosophy is less is more. That's what makes our office different is we don't do advertising and marketing. We get results and the patients do the marketing for us. And I think that the really good offices and if you've hung around with old school chiropractors, that's what they did. Now, if you add a component of marketing, you're going to the next level. Now you're bridging the gap between old school and new school.
And you also have this thing going on, you call it healthy, wealthy, and that's why?
Yeah.
Can you explain to people what that is, just in case they don't know?
Sure. Well, I'm trying to bridge the gap between health and wealth. And a lot of healthy entrepreneurs and my patients really focus on building wealth in their life, and they don't focus enough on building health. And some of your behavior is influenced by your why in life. So everyone has a why in life. I just gave you my why earlier. My why is that I had a setback that chiropractic and lifestyle greatly helped me with, and I wanted to give back. So I was trying, I deal with a lot of patients in my office, and I give them a lot of this advice about lifestyle and how to help your nervous system heal and how to find out what's causing your subluxations. And this helped me so much that I wanted to give back and have a site because I'm repeating myself often in the office. So I wanted to have a place elsewhere where we talk about the why in life. And this is for businesses. This is for patients. This is for anyone that wants to come on, where we talk about health, building your business, building your health, and how health is a form of wealth. If you're not healthy, it's going to cost you a lot of money later on in your life. So I'm in the process of developing my web page for that. I have a Facebook page up, and that's what Healthy, Wealthy, that's why. And I'm going to interview people on their why in life.
One of the things that you said there that makes me want to turn the crank a little bit with you is you said something about marketing. In our pre-interview chat, we were discussing a little bit about how challenging it is to think of good branding and a good message for something so complex.
Right.
And I think that that's something that we've all had our toil with explaining chiropractic. And
right.
You just said, I just feel like I'm repeating myself all the time.
Right.
And I think that that's something that we need to actually let people know that chiropractic from the old school, as you were talking about, is tell the story, tell the story, tell the story.
Right.
Which I think is very valuable. But as you start to get a few white whiskers going, you start realizing that you've told the story over and over and over. So, and those are people inside the brick and mortar,
right.
Those are just stages of other chiropractors.
Right.
Now, as you were talking about marketing and branding, we need to get to the point where we're making a penetrative force to the people that are on the digital platforms. So
True.
That's something I really wanted you to discuss a little bit, because I know that you're really interested in talking about old school chiropractic and getting results. But I know that you also understand that it's very important to get us into the next millennia with talking about the digital marketing aspects.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you one thing in chiropractic. Most of the chiropractors, I think I could be wrong here, but about 7% of the population go to chiropractors. So most of the chiropractors fight over that 7% versus going after the 93% who don't know about what we do. That's where marketing comes in the key. And some people don't understand, or they think chiropractic is just a bunch of crackers. We get people on the table for back and neck pain, and we have to change that perspective out there. And we have to be a unified message, just like in politics or anything. If we have a bit of unity in a couple key areas, we don't have to do the same techniques. We don't have to have the same philosophies exactly. But most chiropractors, a lot of them seem to go around the wagons and they shoot inward versus reaching out and becoming a unified force to go out and educate and people. But I think in my 22 years of being a chiropractor, I've done a lot of talks. I've done a lot of education. What changes people's mind is the results part. And then people are open to reception because now they build a level of trust. So you have to have both components. Yes, we have to get these people who don't know about chiropractic digitally into our offices through, like you said, being social on social, educating, sharing each other's stuff. We are all unique. We are a unified force, and together we could do a lot of good work. We need to work as a team.
So do you have any favorite motivational quotes or mantras that you live by that keep you fired up every day?
Well, things happen for you, not to you. And that's one of my quotes. And the big one is the power that made the body heals the body. And one of my favorite mantras is, today I'm happy that I need nothing. Because if I put out there that I need nothing, I think the universe supplies us with more than we need if we are coming from a need that I don't need anything. And if we crave things, the universe never gives us back what we crave because it thinks that we already don't have it. And we believe that.
I'm writing that one down.
Okay.
And earlier you also said something about turning the screwdriver the wrong way. It doesn't matter how much force you use. If you turn the screw the wrong way, it won't go into the wall. It's the same way. I was just at Tony Robbins' 60th birthday party, and day 2 of that, we were actually leaving the hotel to catch our Uber back to the airport. And we were riding down the elevator with Tony's son, Garrett Robbins.
Yes.
And
I seen some of those pictures. Amazing.
And he leans into me, and I said, "Hey, I remember you. I went to a seminar and you spoke and you taught me how to break an arrow with my throat." And he goes, "Wow, you broke it." And I go, "Yeah, I did, because you told me that the mantra that he coached me into was, your power is your resistance. Go, go, go." So I said that thing repetitively, like 100,000 times. My power is my resistance. Go, go, go. Well, as we were coming down from like floor 2 to floor 1, I was like, "Thanks for everything you did that day." And then I was like, "Hey, by the way, this is my girlfriend, Michelle. She's a chiropractor." Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, really?" And then we were about to leave, and he like rushed up to us and he said, "How do you know if there's a bone out of place?" She goes, "Well, it's just like looking out the window. You can tell whether it's rainy or if it's sunny, right?" Well, that's how a chiropractor can tell if there's a bone out of place.
Right.
So when these things that you're saying, they just make sense. Like if we don't if we don't put the right amount of adjusting force into it, with the right velocity
at the right time, with the right everything. You're right. Timing is everything.
Didn't you have to sign a waiver to do the arrow thing?
I did. Actually, this is a fun story, Brian.
Let me hear it.
So I'm sitting in this huge seminar with all these like attendees. I don't know how many people are there, 5,000 maybe, I don't know. But we're in this big hall in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. And it's this big like music venue. Uh-huh. And there's a 60-year-old lady next to me, and I'm like, "I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna. I was like, I've done enough stuff in this lifetime. I don't need to put an arrow to my throat and try to break it." And she goes, "Well, I've done it like 2 or 3 times." And I'm like, "Hey, give me a waiver." I was like, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna break this arrow with my throat. Give me a waiver." So I ended up going and breaking this arrow, like an arrow that you shoot out of like a bow and arrow. Right. Like you stick it right here. And then you walk into it, and then the arrow snaps, and then you write a message on it.
Wow.
Actually, I think we wrote the message on it before we actually broke it, but there was no chance. It's like, "Hey, Jim, go swim with the shark." I'm like, "No."
I know. It's amazing, the things that happen to us, not for us. There you go. It changes perspective. Sometimes it just takes one situation, one result. I've seen in chiropractic, you know what got a lot of referrals at times? Sometimes telling someone that you can't fix them. Like you have a compression fracture that you didn't know about, and there's something in there, or I see kidney stones and it's causing your back pain. And I tell that person, go to the urologist. That person will refer 50 people to your office if you're honest with them.
Well, that just goes to prove why there's such a need for x-ray in chiropractic.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with you. To see is to know, not to see is to guess, and we do not guess about your health.
That's spot on.
I've seen so many spondylolistheses, if you know what those are.
Oh yeah.
They're anteriors, a lot of them. And I actually know characteristically the chiros in my area who tend to adjust. Like there's a guy down the street, he loves L4. He was told one day L4 is every problem. And my father said, anyone that comes from that office with sciatica, all you have to do is L5 and they'll be guaranteed their sciatica is gone because he's pushed L4 so far forward. And to this day, he's dead on.
So what would the world look like if everyone got adjusted regularly? How do you think the world would change?
Well, like Dr. Palmer said, I think the world would change dramatically. I think we'd have less worry about, viral outbreaks. I think that behavior would change. I think that, I think the world's almost afraid of what would happen if everyone started getting chiropractic care, because I think it would change people mentally, physically, emotionally. It would lower the need for medications and drugs. I think it would change people's behavior. I think that, he went on even built bolder, and it would clear out jail cells and you wouldn't have the need for courts anymore. I think that's pushing it a little bit nowadays, but it would dramatically change people's perspective of not having to run. That when you start to realize you have a pharmacy built into your body versus having to go down the street to get a pharmacy, and that pharmaceutical drug doesn't have intelligence, it doesn't have innate ability, it doesn't know exactly where to go and what cells to target like all the chemicals made in your body do. That's the difference.
Well, the really important thing there that you stated is B.J. Palmer's quote that if everybody's getting adjusted, we would clear out the jails and the insane asylums. Yep. And one of those things that I really believe in is the power of touch. And that's a thing that sets chiropractic different from everything else in like the healing arts, like arena. Because when you touch somebody, sometimes some people are just suffering from isolation within themselves, and they're suffering from isolation of an answer. And when a chiropractor says, hey, look, I found this on your x-ray because I took a proper analysis, I did a proper exam, and I know exactly what's happening now because you told me objectively what's happening. You had a conversation with me. I did a full exam. I saw the x-ray. I saw what happened to you in the past. And now I know your medical history. So this right here is where I'm going to start adjusting. And just like Gonstead would say, I'm not going to adjust too many spots. Like you said earlier, I'm going to adjust just enough spots.
Find it, fix it, leave it alone. That was Gonstead's philosophy. But you're right, Jim. And sometimes in an exam, just putting your hand on someone's shoulder and saying, you know what? I think I can really help you. That's where the healing starts. You know where the healing really starts in a chiropractic office? When your secretary answers the phone with a friendly, smiley voice and says, thank you so much for calling my office. How can we help you? That's where healing starts. And then everything around your team is built up around that. And you're right. What separates us, you know how many people are so happy and reassured when you put a hand on their back or their hip that you know what you're doing, and it's the power of the healing hand and the power of that energy. That's chiropractic, English word, chiro, hand, practico, to help people with your hands. That's what we do.
And that's really why I think it's so important for us to keep on, as Gonstead would say, turning the crank for this information that we're putting out, because there's people that are learning about chiropractic that have never been influenced by chiropractic because of our show. Mm-hmm. So that's something that gives me a lot of clarity with what we're doing as a mission, and that we are disseminating chiropractic messaging consistently to where people that don't know where to go or who to trust are now hearing that Dr. Brian Polochick can help, that any of the people that we've interviewed are a good resource for them. So
Absolutely. And I would like to take a second to say thank you, Jim, because you're doing a great service to the chiropractic profession, and you have such passion that you can just feel it. You could feel it through the microphone, you could feel it through the camera, and you're making a big difference in not only chiropractors' lives, but then everyone that they touch. So it's an amazing thing that you're doing here. And I'm very honored to be on your show, actually.
Well, let's just reveal to people what it takes to actually be in a position to do this. You invested in yourself by joining an Inner Circle network group.
Yep.
I invested in Luke's self by joining us into Inner Circle network group. And now we have access to world changers. And I think that that's the part where most people kind of don't really understand, like what it takes to be delivering good message, is because you have to surround yourself with great people.
Right.
And it goes back to you. The reason that you're delivering good content to people is because you invest in yourself. And that's something that everybody should take away from this, to know, like, maybe I am fired up. Maybe you can feel my emotion through a microphone. But the one thing that people need to know is they can have that too. They just need to start today.
Well, also to the chiropractor's message, your level of success or failure will be based on how many contradictions you have and how bad they are. Like, how much do you really believe in chiropractic? Are you adjusting your family on a weekly basis? Because if you're not adjusting your family, and if you don't believe, like, all right, I remember a guy, a chiropractor, Dr. Mortar, and he used to say, he asked everyone in a room one day, like, who believes in God? And everyone raised their hand. He said, it's either because you believe in God or you're afraid not to raise your hand. But he says, I don't believe in God. I know God. And when chiropractors some people believe in chiropractic, but when you start to know that chiropractic works, it's a way different message than when you believe in chiropractic. When you know something, now you don't have to beg people to come in. Now you don't have to try to barter with people. You know something works. You can feel it. And when you know that, it sends out a message to the universe that everyone else starts to know that. That's where the laws of attractions are.
Absolutely. And one of the things I wanted to make a connection with is, when is the best time to see a chiropractor? Today.
Yes.
When was the other best time? Yesterday.
Right. It's like, when's the best time to plant a tree? 40 years ago. When's the next best time? Now. I get you're saying. And don't just see a chiropractor because your back hurts. Like, just like you bring you go in to get your teeth cleaned and you look at the dentist every 6 months to make sure that everything's working right. Same thing with a chiropractor. Be proactive, and that's what's going to set you free. And your nervous system's what's going to make you adaptable in this stressy, crazy world that we live in. And it's such an advantage to go to the chiropractor. I mean, I could tell you story after story after story of people in my office. And they do most of my patients do the marketing for me. I mean, it's just incredible. It's a great profession to be in.
My favorite quote that you said today was, we don't want to guess with your health.
Yeah. We don't guess in health.
So where do you see the profession heading in the next 20 years, the way things are right now?
Well, you know what? It's tough to predict. I don't have a crystal ball right now. Like, I get together with my dad, who's been a chiropractor for 45 years now, and his old boss, who's been for 68, 69 years. And they're unsure because he tried to reach out to even the local chiropractors. He was a legend in this area, and he tried to reach out to people, and very few people took him up on the offer to teach him, because he went to Mount Horeb, Wisconsin to study under Dr. Gonstead over 100 times. And Dr. Gonstead hated to leave his hometown. He came to New Bedford to do the ribbon cutting for Dr. Melody's office when he opened it up. It was pretty amazing. So a lot of other people have tried to get the message out, but here's where it comes back to what Jim said earlier. Back then, they didn't have, they maybe had video, audio tapes, maybe, and you'd have to send cassettes. We have Facebook Live. We have digital marketing. We have websites. We have a means to do that. And our message needs to be what makes us different from the medical world versus what makes us the same. Anyone could treat back pain. Not everyone could treat back pain without drugs. Not everyone could build your immune system, your digestive system, balance your endocrine system while you're getting your what you came in for, which is your back pain worked on, and then you see an array of other things that happen. That's what's called amazing. So I don't know where I see chiropractic, but it's a choice by the chiropractors have to make. If we continue to have the philosophies that we do now, we could be in trouble because we're trying to more team up with the medical world and become more like them. We need to focus on what makes us unique as chiropractors, is that we believe in the up, down, inside out principle. We believe the nervous system controls everything. And we believe that germs and genes don't dictate all the terms in the world. It's that adaptability does. And if with a healthy nervous system, you have your best shot of being healthy, because you can't go all through the world and eliminate every germ, but you can make your immune system defend itself against any germ that enters.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Posture Screen, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Moguls, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, Local Gold, The Goodman Factor, McCaffrey Clinical Mentoring, Chiro Thin, Unmarket Your Practice, and Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt DeDuro. Let's hustle.
A lot of the things that you're saying anchor to the old school saying, physical, chemical, and emotional stress.
Yes.
And right now we're under more physical stress, we're under more chemical stress, and we're under more emotional stress.
No doubt.
And
that, yep.
And you know, when somebody gets adjusted, early on, when you first had your opening statements in the interview, you said that a lot of the things that you were going to the chiropractor for weren't based on an injury. They were later, but they were based on your emotional status and how you were like emotionally torn with your parents' divorce.
Right.
So
well, they weren't divorcing, but they were not getting along.
Okay.
And that's how stress affected me. And how was explained to me is that every time my stress level got high, my body had a seizure to protect itself from my stress. Because it's like, if your thoughts could induce a heart attack, if your body gets bad headaches, you don't think of your thoughts. And what does that do? That's the solution to your problem. So remember, the mess is your message. A lot of times your symptoms are your solution, not the cause of your problem. So when you go running after trying to treat back and neck pain rather than getting to the cause, which is my body's not adapting to stress, that's where it makes those symptoms necessary versus making them unnecessary. If you lower the threshold, we call it the gap, the general adaptability potential. If you have this much gap to deal with stress, then you don't get headaches. But when you get emotional stress, physical stress, chemical stress, your gap to deal with stress is this big, now you're going to get symptoms. And chiropractic tries to increase the ability, the adaptability of the body to deal with stress. That's what makes it unique.
Wow. We'll let Luke jump in with the next question for you.
So you talk a lot about marketing strategies and Facebook and social media. How are you getting your message out? What are some of your marketing strategies that you use?
Well, one, taking ideas from guys like Jim from Chiro Hustle, who's a genius marketer, and our Inner Circle group that we were involved in, and investing in self. I've spent probably less than you, Jim, but I'd say $40,000, $50,000 in the last 5 years in bettering myself. And I look at every penny of that as an investment in self that's going to have kickbacks later on versus an added expense that nobody wants to do. So if you hear that this program costs $2,000, what you should be looking at is like, what can it get me on the other end of it? How is this an investment versus, oh my God, I don't want to spend this much money. I barely have money. Well, you got to spend money to make money, and you got to invest in yourself, especially if other people are doing great things. So from a standpoint, you have to invest in groups that are like accountability groups like we're involved in. You've got to go on Facebook Live, be willing to pay for ads, be willing to put up ads, being willing to schedule stuff, have your website, Twitter, Facebook, a podcast. I'm starting my podcast, Healthy Wealthy, That's Why, very shortly. That's going to get the message out on health, and it's going to be for chiropractors, entrepreneurs, and patients to tell their story. And each person has a unique story. So I would love to learn from people. And if anyone's listening to this and they want to come on, I'll drop a link later on my schedule. And we could come and chat about anything from health to wealth to the reason why you do what you do.
Well, you hit on so many great topics there, but one of the things I wanted to discuss with you a little bit deeper is when people invest in themselves, money's energy. Like when people have like a low vibrational frequency with money, that means they have a low vibrational frequency for energy. And when you collect a lot of money, you can't have stress, chemical, emotional, or physical around that because it will cause some type of a disconnect with your energy levels. So the people that are thriving out there, the greatest, are the ones that said, yeah, money's just an object of energy. And the more that I help people, the more I get served back with energy of money.
As long as you don't have intention to get money back. If you create value, money follows value. So if you want to make a lot of money, create a lot of value, and that comes back. And in the chiropractic profession, it goes back to scarcity versus abundance mindset, which is going to be another one of my podcast interviews about, like, if you don't think you're worthy of something, there's no way the universe is going to give it back to you. And if you think you're worthy of something, it finds ways. Like, notice how people struggle all their careers wanting to make money. And then when they don't want to work anymore and they don't want to make any more money, they have more money and more things than they ever imagined because they don't need it anymore. That's exactly how it works. Sometimes we could be running after shiny objects so much that we forget the big picture of saying, like, I'm happy. I don't need anything today. I have everything I need to be happy and complete. I have a great family, an awesome wife. I have great friends that I'm meeting, and I've removed some of the contradictions in my life, which has allowed me to attract. And here I am on Chiro Hustle, which is incredible in itself.
Well, let's focus a little bit more on earlier. You said I taught you a very simple philosophy around media, which was to be social on social. Yes. How has that helped you develop into where you are right now?
Jim, that is probably the thing that helped me the most in 2018 and 2019. And it reminds me all the time, be social on social. It gets your message out. I mean, Facebook has algorithms. It has things that when you interact, it likes it. So when you're social on social and when you like other people's stuff, when you're commenting, what happens is it just builds momentum and you get out to a lot of people's news feeds. You become an interesting person. You're not argumentative, and being social on social is just the way that Facebook was designed to be. It wasn't designed to sell whatever you're trying to sell people. It's meant to be social and multiply. And I'll tell you, if you have good content, people will share it. And that's how you tell. I was talking to my son this morning on the story. He's not sure what he wants to do for a career yet. And he's turning 21 this year. And he's like, Dad, what do I do? I'm like, you could market, you could do all these things. When you have good stuff, people will share it and the right people will come and be attracted to your life. And when you don't have good stuff, you need to switch gears. We talk about this in the inner circle all the time, that let the people decide. When you have good stuff, you get 50, 100 shares. If you don't have good content and good stuff, it's hard. So you're being social on social is genius. It's absolutely incredible what you said.
Well, when you're on fire, people want to watch you. They want to watch you burn.
Yes. Yes.
So to your son that's turned 21, find out what sets you on fire. Right. And then let the people that are interested watch you burn. And I think that's something to be said about, like, when we get like creative energy. Like Luke went to school to make films. Yep. So when Luke is on fire, he might not be the one that's like vocal, but he's the one that's visual.
Right.
So when Luke is on fire, he's actually creative behind an editing suite. So when I'm on fire, I'm connecting the dots, being social on social, and then we are both byproducts of each other. Because the more that I push the engine of connection, Luke pushes the engine of creation.
They're perfectly said. And, I think each person, each individual has a unique gift that they're better at something than anyone else in the universe is. And the purpose of life, or the why, is to try to find out what that is and share it with other people.
Jim and I are like opposite ends of a battery.
But you need both ends for it to work, right, Luke?
To make it work.
and then you have to understand that the other end of the battery needs charging as well.
Yes.
So when I run so hard, there is time where I have to go to like my downtime. And right. when Luke is running so hard, he has to figure out how to get more inclusion. So we both had to figure out the energy of like how we can create and be active with each other. So that's a great thing too for your son that's turned 21. Find people that can parallel you, but don't always mimic you. So
Right.
find people's energies that are similar to you that you can work with in the same ecosystem.
So that he can complement you of what you're doing. And that's what a team is. You know, you got some guys that are good on defense, some guys that are good on offense, but together collectively as a team, a mediocre team that plays well together will always be a great group of individual talent that doesn't play well as a team.
You know, back to when this would probably be a good analogy for you since you're from the New England area.
Sure. Oh boy, here we go.
Well, back when I was doing marketing for so many offices, there was a group of 7 of them that decided to basically axe me out of the system. And I was like, so what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, well, each office now hired a community outreach coordinator.
Okay.
And each office is now going to book their own events, which they were doing for me. But now this person's going to go out there and do the work. And I was like banging, dude. I was like out there every day, like out there figuring out how to get new patients for chiropractic offices. And I said to them, and I was quite frank with this message, I said, it's like taking Tom Brady out of the game and putting in a 3rd string Browns quarterback. Right. I was like, why would you bench Tom Brady from your chiropractic marketing systems and think that you're going to get a 3rd string Browns quarterback that's going to come out here and perform for you? But I was like, good luck with that.
Right. You're absolutely right. You know, you got to hire the best in life and kind of like rely on nobody, but hire the best, the best that you can afford. Or if you can't do that, then you have to build up people that are open enough to learn and then build them and mend them the way that you want to and educate them and teach them your philosophy and your style. And that takes time. So there's a trade-off we talk about of time and money. And that's exactly what it is.
Well, back to what you're saying as well is like the best teams that were ever built, they do the simple things well. They block and tackle. Right. Or they can do layups and they can play defense.
Fundamentals, pick and roll, you know, boxing out, rebounding. It drives me nuts when these young kids don't do this stuff.
Like when I was coaching soccer, I always made the guys run for the first 2 weeks before they got a chance to touch the ball. Because I wanted those guys to be able to outrun the team that was like working with ball skills. It didn't matter if that team had better ball skills. If we could out hustle them and outrun them, we were going to win the last 5 minutes of the game.
Right. Or if you can run faster, but you can't catch the ball, it really doesn't matter.
So do you have a favorite app or technology to keep you engaged with your audience or your practice members?
Well, my new favorite thing is going to be my podcast, but right now I have my Facebook page, Healthy Wealthy. That's why I did a keto success page, because I thought there was a big problem in the weight loss industry, but also in the hormone and energy and nervous system industry, which, you know, healthy fats help nervous systems and hormones balance. So, you know, every time there's a problem, you got to come up with a solution of what's going on. Is that you just can't run after too many shiny things. My thing is I get excited and I go after all these things and I bite off more than I can chew. And as I get collectively older, I'm trying to focus my energy more on one thing or one message. And it's to help people. That's what I really want to do. I want to help people any way that I can, make their lives better, especially young chiropractors. If you're in school, if you're a student, if you're coming out of school, if you've been in practice for 40 years, we can all learn something. And the people who don't learn think they know everything. I'm open to learning. So my website's going to be coming up. I'm going to be starting a chiropractic podcast for chiropractors to talk about these things. And I would love to have bridging the gap between old school and new school, like to have the new school chiropractors come on so we can learn a lot about the digital marketing world. And then the old school chiropractors who have tons of wisdom. And if my advice to any young chiropractors out there is, it might cost you a little bit in the beginning, but find someone older in the community who's been around for a while, has a very good reputation. And it might be, you don't want to get paid under what you deserve to get paid. But I did that for a couple of years. I worked for my dad. And let me tell you one thing. I love my dad. I love everything about him. But when you work for your father, even if your boss is wrong, your father's always right. So that's going to be a tough one to overcome. But sometimes you could take a pay cut to learn, and yeah, you don't make your 6 figures for the first 5 years. But once you have worked under an office with less stress and less problems, unless you're really good in marketing and have a lot of money to burn, no one has it all figured out when you come out of school. It's better to team up with an older school chiropractor who's maybe on the verge of retiring in 5 or 10 years, and you could take over their practice and learn their style. You will learn so much more from that versus just going to school.
You said some amazing things there when it comes to like mentorship and, once again, the energy of money.
Yep.
I think when people understand like mentorship and the energy of money might be out of balance, but when you get wisdom, wisdom's a whole different currency. And when you're around somebody that has high level of wisdom and business acumen, now you're going to speed up your pace. And like you said, it might not be the first 5 years that you're going to crush it financially, but that next 5 to 15 years, that's when the stride is made. And for the first like 6 years for me working in chiropractic, I barely made the ability to like pay myself and to eat well. Right. So when I realized that chiropractic was a give, love, serve profession, like I straight up lived that.
Yep. Give more. And, you said, catch yourself on fire and people come around to watch you burn. Well, they'll pay to watch you burn too, because people come in and that's how, energy and money is created. When you create value and energy for people and you have this higher end energy, people are attracted to it because they vibrate at a lower frequency and they want to be up at your level. So they're either by curiosity, how many people walk in my office or call and think they have a wrong number. And I'm like, if I answer the phone, I'm like, well, maybe it's not a wrong number. I'm Dr. Polochick. How can I help you? We're a chiropractor. Have you ever had your nervous system checked? And they're like, no, but I've been thinking about that. And the next thing you know, they make an appointment when they were at a wrong number call. And you have fun. So go ahead, Luke.
No, absolutely. So let's talk about you a little bit more personally. What kind of books are you reading? What other podcasts do you listen to? And what are some of your favorite hobbies?
My favorite hobbies, I'm an athlete. I like to do triathlons, bike riding, running. I'm training for the half marathon. I play basketball a lot. I'm into the competitive aspect of sports. It makes me feel good and it makes me feel in shape. And I try to do things that are not contradictory to me. Like I should be healthier and better fitness and have a high level of education if I'm going to serve other patients and people. So I should be at a higher level of health than my patients are. I don't want to be 240 pounds, high cholesterol, medication, blood pressure, walking around holding my back and telling other people you need to change and get your act together. So I read like Relentless. I read like The Iceman, like books on like Bulletproof Diet, on how to use diet to get your mental health up, supplementation, detoxes, self-help books. I was into all the Norman Vincent Peale stuff. One of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, on interviewing stories of people that had overcome adversity and problems to come out on the other end. So I'm a self-learner. I'm a self-motivated person, and I don't want to be a walking contradiction. So what I try to do is I want to be healthier than my patients, and I want to be better educated. And yes, you have to walk the walk. I'm not all about, having, great sports cars and whatever, but when you're driving a nicer car, when you live in a nicer house, you're showing people that you're successful, and success attracts success. So like Jim was coming back, you have to invest in self. You have to invest in people that are going to bring you to the next level so you can go there. So that's some of the things that I do. I like to read. I like to listen to podcasts, Chiro Hustle. I like to listen to a lot of people online, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a little vulgar, but he gets his message across. Anthony Robbins. And some of my hobbies, I like to meditate. I like to spend time with my family, and I like to balance my life. I'm working on, yes, using social media as a tool, but also getting off of it once my message is out, and spending time with my kids, which I have 4 kids, running around the yard, having fun like 10, 8, and 3-year-olds should have. And sometimes I used to 10 years ago, like I have to get here and I have to go do this. Now, like yesterday, we were running, we went out for lunch on the half day because that's what we do as a family. And we went to the playground and spent 45 minutes there. I had other things to do. Guess what? We hang around and had fun. I like to go out on dates with my awesome wife and invest time and energy in our relationship. And that's how you get balance. So that's been my hobbies, is working on myself, but also building up other people and being interested before interesting. I always wanted everything to be about me. And now I'm trying to be interested in other people's stuff because you can't learn what you already know. I have a lot to learn. So that's what I'm working on.
What are some of your social media links and websites in case people wanted to find out more about you and what you're doing?
Well, I have Brian Polochick is one of my Facebook pages. Healthy, Wealthy, That's Why. Right now I have that's Healthy, Wealthy, That's Why is going to have a website. Keto Success is a weight loss, anti-inflammatory diet where I do detoxes from. And I'm going to be opening up soon a chiropractic page and a chiropractic podcast where we're going to get chiros on and young, new school students, old school legends, and start bridging the gap. And I'm working on a name for that. And I would say it now, but we had talked earlier about it. I'm not sure of that. So when it comes up, we'll post it up.
Maybe we can call it the chiropractic discussion.
Something like that. Not bad.
Maybe we could get it to where we have an old school doc and a new school chiropractor on the same show.
Yes. Well, how about this? We'll open up. If anyone has any suggestions for a name of coming up with something that will bridge the old school and new school, post it below. And remember that if you're on live on here, please share this message in this video. We're having a lot of fun here. Give us some hearts and some likes. And we'd really appreciate that because we're trying to get this message out to as many people as possible.
And as we first discussed when we were in Toronto together, consistency will always win. And I've loved to see you become more consistent and being more social on social and actually figuring out what you should invest your time into. Because I knew that was what you were doing for a while. You were chasing two rabbits. And when you chase two rabbits, you catch neither. So now I see that you're going after the one rabbit. Yes. And that's becoming more influential with your voice and with your message and connecting the dots for the future of chiropractic because you don't want the message to not be heard. Right. So I think if there's anything, that's your biggest catalyst is to make sure that the message gets heard and to make sure that the people know, like Napoleon Hill would say, as you mentioned earlier, where to go, where to trust, and who to like. So I think all those things come full circle for us.
Hey, Luke, I have another quote at the end. I think it was by Oliver Wendell Holmes, which was one of my favorite ones is, I wouldn't give a fig for complexity on the far side of simplicity, but I'd give my life for simplicity on the far side of complexity. And what that means is that we have to go through the complexities of finding out what we want to do, what our message is, what we want to focus on. And you have to go through those complexities till the point where your message becomes clear and simplified. And I think that's what I've worked on in the last 20 years. And I'm starting to get more clarity right now. And that's where success comes from.
That's another great one. I think that just about brings us to the end of this episode.
Well, you had one thing you had, what is one piece of advice you have for chiropractic entrepreneurs? Did I go over that already?
No, we seem to have overlooked that one. So what is one piece of advice you would give an up and coming doc or an entrepreneur?
Well, I think I gave a little bit of it before is team up with an older chiropractor who's been around, who's had a successful office, and you can learn a lot from them. And for other chiropractic entrepreneurs out there listening, I mean, you got to simplify things. You got to keep it simple, focus on subluxation. If you want to have a non-pain clinic, start asking people what's good with them every day instead of what's wrong with you. Because people are always open. Oh, my back and my neck hurt. They'll be open to everything. So if you want to start building a wellness office that are more preventative care, I would go into a room and each person ask them, what's good with you today? Versus what hurts today, what's bad, because now you're promoting a back pain office versus a wellness subluxation based chiropractic office. And that's what I'm going to say to keep it simple.
Well, now I believe that.
Yeah.
Brian, I want to thank you for being our guest today. I know we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did.
And Jim and I would just love for you to enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Luke. Appreciate
Brian,
that.
it was wonderful making sure that we got you on an interview with Chiro Hustle.
Oh,
And,
I'm so excited to be here. I was excited last week, and it made the next 7 days like worked up to it. A little technical difficulties, but I love to be here, man. And anytime you need someone to talk or talk chiropractic, I'm always around.
Awesome, brother. Well, like Luke said, we want you to have a great rest of your day. And
thank you.
in Chiro fashion form, you're just one story away. Keep hustling, man.
Yes, keep hustling.
See you.
See you, Brian.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.